I just recorded a video. We're gonna do another video. This is theory stuff. We're not gonna spend 10,000 years on this. But it's just like ideas that maybe could exist in some capacity in the future. So I mean, yeah, let's just get right into it. First is depression guitar early. And, no idea how this would work, but ideally, after this point, you would literally just go to the thing, switch to SpongeBob, and then do the guitar challenge, get the token, and then go to the token. This wouldn't really save time in any category that already grabs that token anyway. However, for primarily no pause storage, it would save quite a bit. Because if we could get it early, so this game has very strict token requirements. We need 20 tokens by Now That We're Men, and unfortunately one of the tokens we have to collect is Sandwich Driving 102, even with Out of Bounds, and by the way, the Out of Bounds is fucking annoying and cringe. Even with the Out of Bounds, my gold is like a 248 or something. But if we could do this, I mean, this would... I think this token's like a minute 10 to a minute 20. Like, it's much faster. And it's easy. But it's also a lot faster. It'd be kind of based. So yeah. The second thing is, like, potential checkpoint abuse in driving levels. So, in driving levels, they all have checkpoints that you have to pass. And if you miss any of them, the trigger at the finish line won't spawn. But if you could just do it, if you could just go out of bounds, I think you can get out of bounds as early as, like, I think to the left. I think in theory you could maybe bounce up there and skip like a huge section, but otherwise there's also like an out of bounds you can do around here to land on top of here, and then you can also use that. And also, this trick would be, this trick would be a lot easier because you could just you could nitro on top of the bulldozer and then just make it across, but because we need the checkpoint, it's quite a lot slower than it otherwise would be, and it's a lot more cringe. Oh, actually, there's also, that truck that just passed. When the truck stops, you can nitro on it and land out of bounds, and you can actually drive straight to the finish line, and it would save quite a bit, but because of the checkpoint, it doesn't. So yeah, if we could ever somehow get around that, that could be pretty big. In Weenie, we have a method for going out of bounds. You could just go straight to the finish line afterwards. Sunday... Well, the finish line doesn't spawn until you pass all the triggers, but, if you could. Same sort of kind of ish idea with Sunday. Although I don't really think you can go out of bounds and get the thing in Sunday. But Sunday would have its own benefit. We'll get to that later. And yeah, that can make the driving levels pretty cool. Maybe even fast enough to be in other categories. Like if we had a way to just like do Weenie, for example, super fast. Could get rid of Depression Combat or whatever in NMG, just a random example. Alright, next one is BBBH SpongeBall spawning in a SpongeBob or Patrick. This game makes this so that like only specific for example, SpongeBall is treated as a different player than SpongeBob, and only SpongeBall can be in this level. So we'd have to, like, trick the game into giving us SpongeBob or Patrick. Or VMS, but then, without this text and without SpongeBob. Either way, either you do VMS to get over there, which I'll explain later, or if you were SpongeBob or Patrick, you might be able to ride on this and then jump across. Maybe not, but you might be able to. So that was the idea. But if you could just VMS, I think you could cheese, like, Plank SpongeBob as well. But this would be useful for, like, a lot of categories, unless it needed, like, to be done in late game, because we can't afford the token, at least in this category. I don't know, it'd just be a big mess. But yeah, that could be pretty cool. better weenie out of bounds. So this is where I show weenie out of bounds. It is the actual worst thing in the entire universe. You nitro this, and you grab the key, and then bounce out of bounds as well. This part is already extremely hard, but even getting out of bounds at all is hard. And then getting out of bounds fast is even harder, and then you gotta drive back. And then you gotta do bow bounce, and this only works like fucking like 60% of the time, and I don't even know if it's actually consistent, and it's so fucking bad, dude. And then, even when you do get the bounce, which by the way, you could easily just not get enough of a bounce, the vast majority of the time, we don't get a good bounce off of this. Basically, it's not RTA viable, but in theory, it saves a maximum of like 7 seconds. So, a better weenie out of bounds. There is like a task thing, but that's not even like, I don't even think it'd be faster, but there's like something about getting out of bounds, like if you can see my cursor, getting out of bounds here, and then nitroing, but then you run out of nitros, and then it's just not, you know. There's also another thing with like, you know, getting high off of this and bouncing and getting the key. Basically, what we need is either the lap 3 ramp to spawn. So the whole point of this, right? You don't need to, like, so the only triggers that matter in weenie effectively are the end lap triggers. Like, so there's 2 paths towards the end of the lap, and once the game knows you've gone through both, then it knows that you've done 2 laps, and then it spawns the lap 3 ramp to get a key. If we could spawn that ramp early, then we get the key early, or if we could just get up there any other way somehow without doing this, it would save a fuck ton of time. Maybe even to the point of being worth doing an early task unlocks, because currently it's not even done there. But yeah, it could just save a ton of time, potentially. Alright, next up, Rock Slide Hans Disable. What was Rock Slide Hans Disable? Here we go. So, this game does not have Hans Disable, and we're pretty certain that the devs knew about Hans Disable, because in battle, obviously it's there. In movie, Hans is specifically coded, right? He's hard-coded to always be enabled every load. But that seems a little fucking fishy. Also, by the way, they also did the same thing with cruise boosting. They made it so that you can't press guitar and ball on the same frame, so there's like no way that they know about cruise boosting. The thing is with that is that, like, I already made a video about guitar stuff, so you can watch that if you're interested, but it wouldn't do a lot. Like, it would basically just be like all tokens where it'd save like a good bit, and that's mostly it. But yeah, so if we could do it now, how much this saves depends on if we can do this in Rock Slide 1 or not. That is a lot more debatable. If it's late, you know, realistically, if it did exist, it'd probably be due to doing something in late game. So if we could only do it in time challenge, I don't even think this would be faster, no pulse storage. And obviously, it wouldn't be worth doing Ring to do Macho. No fucking chance. Ring is like 5 minutes long. But, yeah, so it would still save time, though, in no major glitches. And obviously still, like, hundo and all tokens, because you gotta do those tokens anyway. It would skip a shit ton of manlies if you can do in Rock Slide 1, but it'd still save quite a bit. You just have to grind a bunch in SCDA. But yeah, it would save, like, quite a bit. Compared to doing like Depression Combat or something, assuming the setup is like 0 seconds, it probably would save like a minute or maybe like a little more than that. So yeah, and that's just assuming Rock Slide 2. If we could do it in Rock Slide 1, that means that we could instantly do in Rock Slide 2. What I'm thinking, maybe for no pulse storage, if we could do it, like, again, Rock Slide 1, I think what might actually be viable, actually, is doing Rock Slide 1, loading into Now That I'm Man, not having enough tokens, and then just doing Rock Slide 2. You waste an extra load, an extra clam animation, but I'm Yeah, no, I'm like 100% sure it'd be faster than Sandwich driving 102. Like, we do have, like, a little, like, video of going down Rock Slide. I should have shown that, but, yeah. And I think you can do the whole thing in, like, a minute 30. When you add, like, loads and talking to Mindy and stuff, it's, like, not even 2 minutes. So, yeah, no, that would... And I think you will still get some Manleys, so I think you can get even more... So that'll make up for the Manleys a time. Yeah, so you could do that. That could be fast. Maybe then it could be faster to do Rock Slide Ring and Macho compared to Sandwich driving Ring and Macho, but I'm like almost 100% sure that wouldn't be the case. But I mean, you know, something to think about. So yeah, that's a cool theory idea, although doing the same exact thing twice in a row isn't exactly great. We could save a lot though. Now that we're in tunnel skip. So, here it is. I think there's another one as well, but I just wanted to show the gist of, like, what's going on here. So, like, you navigate out of bounds in Now That We're Men, right? You need to upgrade Bold at this point, probably. But yeah, you just, like... Oh yeah, no, you can... There's definitely, like, a faster one than this, I'm sure. But yeah, you can get here, and then you can start bowling, and then if you get the right angle, you can bowl the lobster from here. I swear... Yeah, here we go. That was, like, the first one found, but then there's, this optimized one. The first one was found by Jackson, but this one was found by Latte. So... Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. This would be, like, really hard and horrible, and... Yeah, like the worst thing in the universe. But that would, in theory, be pretty fast. There's 2 reasons why it's not, though. Number one, it skips a shit ton of Manleys. We can make up for that. That in itself is fine. Although it makes it save less than it looks. And number 2, Bungie. Bungie is very fast, and we need Bungie. In fact, we need it pretty immediately. In a lot of well, not a lot. In some categories... You enter SCDA with the exact amount you need, 25, and there is, like, no good substitute tokens. So this would probably not even be... Even if we could get the warp early, we would need to get it early in Now That We're Men and warp to it in Now That We're Men for it to be worthwhile. Otherwise, it would just be fast. If we had to get it later for whatever reason, but it was still fast, like Hundo, you know, all tokens, stuff like that. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, some sort of skip for SCDA Area 1. There's, like, a couple things, but, like, they've never really, like, actually been viable. Like, there's, like, one actual, like, SCDA thing that I'm not showing because it loses a shit ton of time. You just, like, go out of bounds and just, like, do a whole thing. But, like, the reason why out of bounds in Area 1 just, like, doesn't really work is because... A lot of ideas could skip the Cirque Warp, and, you know, we need the warp, especially because it's such it's one of the fastest tokens in the game. If anything... Dude, why is the text highlighted? How do I... Okay, there we go. Like, not only, like... Yeah, I think not counting end-level tokens, I think this might be the fastest token in the game. Is it? Nah. I mean, with Chris skip and Monster skip, nah. But it's still, like, within probably, like, the top 5 fastest tokens. But even if you could get that and then go out of bounds after the fact, we need the SCDA Spongeable Warp. Not only, and it would skip a few Manleys, but not, like, this warp is not only is the token really fast anyway, like a minute 20, minute 30, you know, minute 40, like, after the warp, like a minute 30 maybe, I don't know. Not only is it very fast, we literally need this warp for Mindy skip. There's no other way around it. So you'd only be able to skip this area, assuming you could also grab the Cirque warp too, or it's after Cirque. You could only make that work if it's a category that does SCDA guitar, so that you can then... because then you can just walk to the warp anyway. Like, you just come back here anyway. So that's, like, the most viable it could be. I should have shown. Speaking of SCDA SpongeBob, I forgot to put this in the notes. It's possible to like bounce off this corkscrew and get on here. It is possible, actually possible. So I guess it's technically not a theory strat, but like it's never been done RTA. It's pretty much TAS only. Like you should have a look at it. It's on TSSM archive. Like literally just like the worst thing ever, bro. But it would save like 8 seconds. Okay, so SCDA Area 2 Invisi Crate. So, and this would actually save quite a bit, but skip mainlies again, but at this point in the run, it's not really a big deal anymore. So you pick up a crate, throw it over, and then the theory, right? So, there's something called Invisible Crate. You need upgraded throw. If you throw an invisible, like a crate against a wall, depending on like how far away you were, how close you were to it, the angle, and like, you know, how long you held down throw for, the collision will still partially stay intact, and it'll bounce off the wall, and the collision will be really glitchy, and when you stand on it, it'll convert the speed and the angle and all that into like vertical momentum or whatever, but that isn't really important. But what you need to know is that the idea with this, right, is that the invisible collision would bounce off of this and then make it all the way over to this TV over here. So let's see how well this video does. I can't really see it properly, but it landed like somewhere by here. We've tried and we can't really get the distance or height. We'd skip all this, and it would actually save quite a bit. I'm not sure exactly how much, maybe like 15 seconds or something if done quickly. It'd be pretty fast though. And it could be done in like any category that gets here, you could do it, you know. So yeah, it could be pretty fucking fast. But I don't know if it's possible. It might very well not be possible. So, what's the next thing? Sunday Goob Disable. This is just saying, like, so in Sunday, we have to follow Goofy Goober, which basically just means that we have to go a certain path. We can still go as fast as we want, but we need to go a certain path. So we can't do Sunday jump here, which saves like 4.5 seconds. We have to go around, which is fine. But then, in this tunnel, we can't take the shortcut that saves like 15 seconds or something. Actually, no, it's not 15, it's like 10, but still. Then we can't do spiral skip, that saves like 8 to 9. And then lap 2, we're forced to go this really slow path instead of Sunday jump or the other path again. And only now can we finally do what we want. Nearly 2.5 minutes in. It's like 2:25 in, and the segment is 4 minutes long total. That's fucked. So for more than half of it, we can't do shit. However, right, we have found that if Goofy Goober just gets deleted, let's say he just vanishes, all of his triggers leave with him, which means that we can treat Sunday just like an IL, which means that we can do whatever the fuck we want. And already, you know, this is saving 4.5, right? And then this is saving like 10, so that's like 14.5. And then, like, that saves like 8.5. So that's like 23 seconds. And then, I don't even know how much this shit saves, but it's gotta save like a fuck ton. So, this would save, assuming the setup would be 0 seconds, dude, this would be like 40 to 50 seconds. This would save a ton. And the short story of how we'd most realistically get this to work is ball storage, but we'll get into ball storage later. Alright, next is SCDA Floating Block VMS. So, normally after combat you switch to Patrick and you go out of bounds, but you basically, the idea is that you do out of bounds as SpongeBob, and then you clip up. It's a little hard, but it's not too bad, and then after collecting the token, you said ball storage here. It's like a 20-second ball storage setup or something. It's quite slow. However, a VMS setup, I mean. What you would do then Okay, so you need to warp to SCDA floating block to burn through the Are You Ready Kids thing, right? So you would just burn through that, and then you would do this, and then you'd come back to SCDA floating block. And I just realized I don't have a video for what that would look like, but I can still give you the gist. So you would leave this token for later, which would be fine. It would just waste a couple seconds in the menu, but you can just like skip. Oh, and burning through plus like the 20-second setup. So what you would do, right? During the load, you just hold A during it, as Patrick and RNA or SpongeBob if you have guitar. But yeah, you would literally just like get enough height to go. You see these spike blocks over here? You just jump to that. Even with that setup, we don't get enough height. This is how much height you get, right? Watch this. By a country mile, this is by far the most height we've been able to get. Is right down there. And it's still not even really that close to being enough. You know, we need like 20% more distance or something, bro. So, yeah, shit sucks basically. Granted, it would remove skill and stuff, but it'd also remove ice physics glitch being annoying, and would just be pretty cool. Especially because, speaking of SCDA floating block, here's another theory thing, right? So the way the no polar storage works, so what I'm saying right now will be exclusive to no polar storage and all extras. What you do is that you collect 40 tokens for guitar, unlock guitar, and then you book it straight to Mindy, straight away. I mean, not Mindy, you book it to Neptune, so now you're just grabbing N-level tokens. You just grab Plank N-level token, and then you grab Knucklehead, and then you do Neptune, right? But here's the thing. Okay, and this would be really big. Now, granted, you wouldn't be able to do lag clips here, and you'd have to do a slower ball storage setup. So you'd lose quite a lot of time here, to be fair. And you'd lose time from another thing, too. But basically, this boss is literally coded, we've looked, it's coded to only take damage from guitar. But if we could kill it with bash, spin, ball, anything else, we could collect this N-level token now, and then we could do Mindy skip, and then grab Knucklehead as the 40th token. Then we load into Neptune with not enough tokens, and then we just warp to Plank, and then get it, and then get enough. And from not being able to do lag clips and having a slow ball storage, this would lose quite a bit initially, but it skips 2 tokens. And those tokens that we would skip, we only get a few backtracking tokens in late game. And we literally need SCDA Spongeball, and SCDA Spongeball is too fast anyway. Like, you know. Because we need to grab the warp anyway, if we're only timing Spongeball from beginning of the area to collecting the token, it's literally like a minute or a minute 10. It's way too fast. So the slowest ones that we get are SCDA Floating Block. Although with VMS then, that could be a little questionable. I think at that point, it could actually be SCDA Spongeball. So we would just grab the warp and then just, like, not do the token, I guess. It would be that and Guess 2. And Guess 2 has Guess Gems, which are frame perfect tricks, so it'd be removing skill, but yeah. That whole thing, I estimate it'd save, like, assuming there's no floating block VMS, so we skip floating block, it would save, like, roughly, like, it would save, like, nearly 3 minutes minus the time. It would save, like, a little over 2 minutes. Which would bring the time down then to, like, low 58 or mid 58. Which would be pretty insane. It removes skill, but I mean, yeah, it'd be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? And in all extras, I'm actually not entirely sure what it would remove, because there are extras in SCDA floating block, and we don't do guess 2 in all extras. You do plank sponge ball, but plank sponge ball's extra is like right there, and it's actually just like. So what we do in all extras, after we 2-frame the plank token, then unlock guitar, then walk back to area 2, even though we've already been there, so now you gotta add time, like. So the plank token also includes like going back again. And in this case we wouldn't be able to do lag clips either. Although the lag clip in all extras only saves 6 seconds anyway, so I actually don't know what token. I mean, I think it has to be plank sponge ball and SCDA floating block. You would just do like half of SCDA floating block. Well, that's another thing as well. Floating block VMS. I don't think it'd save anything in extras categories because we're the extra. If it does, it's actually probably like 5 seconds, so it's not really notable. But if it's but yeah, like without VMS, if you, I guess you would just grab the extra and bail, because like there's just no other, like, yeah, no, you would skip SCDA sponge ball, and then you'd either skip plank sponge ball after the extra. No, because you gotta warp to area 2 anyway. No, wait, fuck, what would you do? You do need to go to plank sponge ball. Would you just collect the end level token and then load, and then go through the load and then pop back out, and then just, because you can't do lag clips anyway. So even though you're losing a bit of time because you can't 2-frame the token, there's still a fade out, there's still a load. You don't have to, yeah, so the loads is negated anyway because you'd have to walk back to area 2, plus like the walking back and then wall jumping back up. It's hard to say for sure. You would definitely skip SCDA floating block, and then you would either skip SCDA sponge ball, and then you'd either skip SCDA floating block or plank sponge ball, and I'm not sure which one, but it would save less in that category. We wouldn't even save like that much. Save quite a chunk, like a lot, but like, you know, not as much as no pole storage. Yeah. Neptune stacks hits. So, I had this theory a while ago, and it might not do anything, and we don't know because we can't test it. So, there was like a fast hit strat with Neptune that isn't really fast these days anyway, but it's pretty hard. There was a strat where, when Neptune gets dizzy, if you stand as close to him as possible without him hitting you, deflecting you back, you can just spam R, and the guitar radius will hit him, right? When this happens, SpongeBob is forced to lose control until Neptune goes back into attacking phase. But I had the theory a few days ago of, if he's in the damage phase, if he's just in his animation of getting hit, and you had control, if you use guitar again really quickly, would he take more damage? Could you just stack 6 hits? Or does his animation only play once, so you could only get like 2 hits in, but then you could still kill much faster, or would it even work at all? It'd be AIDS, because the strat of standing right in front of him is seriously way harder than you think. Because if he deflects you, it starts the whole fucking attack again and loses like a century and the run dies. But if you only have to do it once, it wouldn't be that bad. It'd make the fight not very suspenseful. But yeah, we can't even test it, because SpongeBob getting locked in play, like, that's hard-coded. Hard-coded basically means, like, encrypted. We don't have a, like, we don't know. We don't have, we can't just code around it. We can't do anything like that. So we have no idea if that would even work, and even if it did work, how would we not restrict movement? But maybe it could work. I feel like there's, like, potential. Okay, so now everything else is like super theory stuff. It's basically bowl storage mostly. Bowl storage, yeah, pretty much bowl storage. The idea of a combat arena skip. So this would be like, don't know exactly how this would go. I think you would either load into a level, and then, like, kill, and then it generates some random number of enemies you have to kill, and then and then if things you've done all the ways and you get the token, it could be that it only plays wave 1 or only plays wave 3 and gives you the token. The token could just be immediately collectible from the beginning, or if as soon as you spawn in, it could play the cutscene immediately. I think there's a lot of things that could theoretically happen, but obviously it wouldn't affect planned combat. But if we could get it for even just depression combat, that would like even if it did exist, there'd be like a 99% chance to be ball storage. So if that did exist, that'd be pretty fast, and we could get rid of Guest 2. If we could do it in Now Men combat as well, then we could get rid of SCDA floating block. And then if we could do it in, BBBH combat, yeah, so if we could do it in BBBH combat as well, then we could get rid of SCDA floating block too, and it could save quite a bit. And it would save a lot too for categories that need to do it anyway, and would make the run quite a bit easier and less RNG dependent. The issue with ball storage though is like chains and shit, like how long they take and if they're inconsistent. Speaking of, it's probably the most likely way to get Goob disable. I imagine you need to do a chain and then die and then Goob despawns, and that's the issue. It might not even save time. It might be inconsistent. You might need to do like a horrible chain. You might need to do like Mummy Man costume, depression into Weenie Ring specifically, into fucking 3K, into depression combat. I mean, into Sunday 1 specifically, and then it's just, and then die or reload the level twice, and then at that point it's just not saving anything. The best case scenario is that it would literally just be like no cheese, Sunday, quickly die. I mean, we've already tried that, but you know, something like that. Because if the chain requires anything past Sunday 1, it just has no potential. Or if it requires plain sponge costume, because then we don't have the extras, or caveman SpongeBob, also unviable. It either needs to be default costume or Mummy Man SpongeBob. The other theory thing is disable/skip ring challenges. So same thing like bowl storage. Being able... Oh, also, here's another theory thing. In a guitar challenge, the end always has a target. So back in the day, we were like, oh, if we destroy this target, it'll give us the token, but that's not actually how it works. The way that it works is that it counts the rings you pass, and when you pass the last one, it gives you the token. So if we could just, like, make the game think that we passed through the last ring... Maybe just make the ring visible at the same time as another ring or something, and then we could, like, swerve it in that direction. That'd save a shit ton. In, well, BBBH's one is too far away, but in SCDA and Depression Guitar, but Depression Guitar's short, so mostly SCDA Guitar, that would save a lot. But yeah, if a ring challenge skips, the idea would either be to disable the rings, but the game thinks it's a ring challenge, but it's actually a time challenge equivalent, and then we could just do something, you know, really fast, so we don't have to do stupid shit. Or we could just skip the challenge entirely. Mindy doesn't want to know about rings; she wants macho. Hold on, I need a drink. As for the former, right? It's probably not possible. Like, how would you make Mindy... Like, again, the way that the ring challenges work is that you need to pass, like, the last ring. The game knows that. So the game would somehow have to think that you've already passed through all of the rings. Without actually fucking Mindy in any negative way, like completely disabling a text, or just not giving you a token, stuff like that. Actually skipping the challenge entirely, I could maybe see that. I can maybe see it. but that'd probably be another ball storage thing. The most applicable well, Rock Slide, where the Hans are Sable, but the actual big one would be Rubber Dub. So, Rubber Dub Skip is very, very fast. I'll just show it real. It's kind of hard, but that part of it doesn't really matter. Other than the fact that there'd be a third Rubber Dub Skip in the run. Actually, I'll show you how it looks in Rubber Dub 2, because how it looks in Time Challenge would be the exact same as Macho, in theory, if this shit, like, existed. So, in theory, you know, you immediately do 1-frame jumps, and then you build up speed on the rail, build up speed, and then jump across is pretty hard. The 1-frame's not required, however, save like 7 seconds, and in Macho, this would also be here, so, yeah. So, the reason why you can't do this now, right, normally, to get to Macho, you need to do Ring. And Ring is over 3 minutes long, but even if we pretend it doesn't exist... Well, not pretend it doesn't, but... That's not the only problem, right? The problem with the Ring challenge is that there were, like, multiple times throughout the level with rings... If you skip targets, then you just softlock the Ring challenge. And we'd be skipping targets because of Rubber Dub Skip. So the only way to do Ring is in either Rubber Dub, in either the first or second Rubber Dub token, you just go around basically casually, only doing like 1 or 2 small strats and just hitting all the fucking targets and watching all the slow ass cutscenes. So it's really slow basically, even because you can't do Rubber Dub Skip. However, if we could skip Ring in any fast way, we could literally just do Macho. And because we've already loaded in... Actually, no, never mind. I was about to say something stupid. Well, actually, it would kind of apply to Hundo. Because you've already loaded in full Ring... If we could just, like... Actually, no, never mind. No. Ignore that. So, yeah, this would be like a late game thing. And if the method isn't fast, then this wouldn't even be, like, worth it. Keep in mind, right, so... Yeah, I got a 29, like 28 to 29 is pretty normal after getting the 1-frame jumps. Guess time, like a really good guess time, is like 104. So this would need to be, like, pretty fast setup. Probably, like, you might not even be able to do the 1-frame jumps, that's the other thing, too. It might require, like, loading into Ring, hopefully not a slow chain, but you do a chain, load to Ring, die, and then maybe even reload and do it again. At that point, it might not be fast, but yeah, just, like, in theory, maybe. But if we could make the game think that we were doing Ring Challenge when we weren't, then that'd be pretty big for Hundo and all tokens. I mean, then we could literally just do 4 Rubber Dub Skips. And obviously it'd benefit this category and pretty much any category almost that, you know, actually needs to collect a bunch of tokens. So yeah, that's like the main use of it. Guitar early. This would almost definitely be ball storage as well. However, so whether or not you have guitar is literally like have enough guitar or whatever when you talk to Mindy. Or if you have it at all, I think is literally the difference between a 0 and a 1 in memory. And ball storage can turn 0s into 1s, and we know that it can, and it can, I think it can delete assets as well, move shit, but yeah, it can turn 0s into 1s. Which means that in theory, I don't know how, maybe you, just talk to Mindy in Plank and she just instantly gives you a talk to Mindy in not even Plank, but she gives you guitar instead of the move that you were gonna get. You upgrade a move and then maybe that, probably not, but yeah, you die and then the game freaks out and lets you upgrade guitar even though you don't have it, so you upgrade guitar and then like the game thinks you have it, you know. In theory as well, if we could do a guitar pad early, maybe the game would just think that you have a guitar permanently, potentially. This would be a bad thing, because wherever you get guitar, however early or late it is, the rest of the run would literally be 100% identical to early powers, except with worse pacing, because anything before guitar early would just be no pulse storage. It would be as no pulse storage as it gets until you get guitar, which means that the pacing's fucked, because you'd be getting 20 tokens for Now That We're Men, or, doing backtracking stuff, doing all the slow shit, and then you get to play, like, early powers, when you could have just played early powers, when early powers has, like, no cheese clips, and, like, it's much faster pace. Like, basically the pacing is superior at that point. No pulse storage would have, like, no reason to exist. Early powers would just pretty much just be objectively better than it, other than needing cheats. So, yeah, guitar early would be bad. We could potentially unlock throw early, but that doesn't really mean anything. Because, like, you know, you need 5 tokens between Now The Men and SCDA anyway. And there are 5 fast tokens in Now The Men very fast. So it's like, I mean, you could do Bungee skip maybe, but it'd probably be faster to skip Guess 2 instead. Yeah, especially because of the Manleys. Yeah, it'd definitely be. Yeah. And then, the final thing is being able to unlock warps in theory with bolt storage. On PS2, bolt storage tackles a different part of memory, and it has visibly enabled warps. As in, it makes Dennis... We found it makes Dennis appearable, or it might have been Dennis 2. I can't remember, it was either Dennis 1 or Dennis 2. And Neptune. And it can also remove warps. We've seen it remove Plank and Knucklehead from the menu before crashing. And they don't actually let you warp, but that would also probably just be the difference between a 0 and a 1. Actually, I don't think it is. I think it's 0 for question marks. Oh, no. Yeah, no, it should be 0 and 1. So if we could have the stars align, we might be able to, although it doesn't look like it tackles the right part of memory for Xbox. But again, we're talking about theory, to be fair. So yeah, I mean, potentially, I mean... I don't really see why, like... Again, compared to some of the other stuff, it is a little extra far-fetched, but like... If we could unlock warps early, that could potentially kill the game super fast. Because if you could just, like, warp to Neptune early, then you can skip Monumental and Knucklehead, and that would save even more than just grabbing those tokens and skipping shit. You know, you wouldn't even need bowl storage, Mindy skip. If you could combine guitar early and a Neptune wrong warp, then Jesus Christ. You know, there's a lot of things that, like, you know, a lot of warps being unlocked could be bad, or even just, like, you know, even if it unlocks the ideal warp, then it can theoretically unlock anything, and then it's just almost inevitable that something bad happens with it. But the one place where it would be pretty good, in my opinion, would be either for throwing through or guitar in SCDA, not in SCDA, in BBBH. And the reason why I feel this way is because then BBBH backwards would be really fast. I mean, it's already fast. But it could be even faster, right? So, at the world record level, no major glitches. I mean, it used to have BBBH backwards, but at a world record level, like, it just removes too many Manleys. So instead, you grab the BBBH tokens early and then do plank lag clips. However, you could do BBBH backwards in mid-game. You have to waste the load and menuing, and then climb all the way up the slide and then move your way back. However, if we already had throwing through early or guitar, to skip walking up the slide and some extra movement and stuff, especially throwing through, that would save so much. Although we'd have to grind an SCDA to compensate, but still it'd be, like, that would be pretty nuts. That would save a lot. Yeah, so it'd be pretty nutty. Although, if you could unlock throwing through, then it wouldn't even be BBBH backwards at that point. So guitar warp early would be cooler, more interesting. But yeah, theoretically, if it works, then we can warp wherever we want, bro. Even, like, I don't know how useful it'd be, but even being able to do, like, Nalo and Men to, like, well, again, if we could get Knucklehead, that'd be really useful. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's, like, most notable things. Oh, we could also use bolt storage to, like, move triggers, like Hans triggers, Goob triggers. But how would we know that we did that, you know? Things like that. We know that it can physically move things. We know it can, but we don't know, like, if it can move trigger. And even if it did, how would we know? But yeah, I mean, that's theory for you. Is it anything else? Not really. I mean, there's, like, the idea of doing, like, sliding and driving IL strats. Basically driving IL strats in, full game runs, but, like, that's, you know. I think some of them might literally be physically impossible on NTSC. And I don't think PAL Xbox would be fast enough to warrant doing them, even in theory, because of slower loads and paddy wagon and shit. Some sort of token duplication glitch without pole storage could potentially. That would only not be AIDS though if it could only duplicate like one token. If you could like, but that's the thing though. It could be like if it could duplicate one, why would it not be able to duplicate more? That's a problem. But let's say it could only duplicate one. Like let's just say like. You grab the depression bounce, and then, like, you make a save, and then, like, you load back to it, and then it just, like, dupes the token, but it, like, only works once for some reason, and after extensive testing, it only works once. Then, yeah, we could remove sandwich macho, or sandwich time, and that would be good. Just, you know. I wonder how that would be, actually, like, if you did a buffer into a token, and then, like, save the game, and then, like... Yeah, I wonder if you could theoretically duplicate, like, probably not, but... There's no, like, boss kill triggers, so there's, you know, we can't do that. Yeah, that's basically it, I think. Oh, maybe a bolt storage to, like, automatically drop the lamps and the targets in Gesk. Very, very unlikely, but then we could treat it like a time challenge and save a lot. And same sort of thing with, like, ring skip or whatever. Yeah, I'm really trying to think, and I can't think of shit, bro. Oh, maybe some sort of manly duplication glitch. If not too drastic, that would probably improve no major glitches. Because then Bold Record can do BBBH backwards reliably again. Maybe VMSs without SpongeBob's guitar. Maybe like. Yeah, I can't think of shit. Alright, thank you for watching and goodbye.